Rithika, Gaddam.
Thank you. When you can hide. I'm actually glad that Ethan went before me because I love that he talked about what you can do outwardly for your business, because what I'm about to talk about is what you can do for your internal teams to optimize and make them more productive. So have you guys heard of Notion? Anybody here use Notion? Oh, that's nice. So when we started using Notion and when I started using ChatGPT, what I realized is that I have the ability to adapt, but I cannot convince 300 employees to also adapt at the same time. We're talking about getting our businesses to use AI so that we can support growing trends, growing client needs, whatever it may be. But what I can do for myself, I can't really force my team to use. So what we started doing is, instead of using SharePoint, or if any of you guys have internal company wikis where you store all of your information, it could be employee handbooks, it could be your client policies and procedures, it could be your compliance policies and procedures, boilerplate templates, anything and everything. So we started using an AI-enabled tool to be able to do that and started moving all of our employees towards it. And what Notion does is really interesting, because if I have a policy that I have to write, or if I have a policy that I have to edit, I no longer have to go and open a Word document, edit it, and then upload it back on, and then hope to God that all of my employees read it, right? So with Notion, I can talk to it, similar to what Ethan was saying with ChatGPT. I can just message Notion and say, hey, this one line, let's say I moved offices. Find every document within our company knowledge base that has our address or phone number, or maybe our policy says one thing, but we've decided to do something new. I can talk to Notion and I'll say, find it in every single spot. And it's not a Control F, it's a much smarter Control F, because now it can contextually understand what you're trying to do and how to look for it. And it can change it in all 300, 400 places that you have in one go. Whereas it would have taken someone maybe a few hours to comb through everything and figure out where exactly it needs to be changed. So Notion can do that in a matter of seconds. Outside of that, the other thing that it's done for me personally is productivity. So instead of attending all these meetings, I'm sure you guys have used Fireflies or some form of a meeting AI recorder. What Notion can do is actually download all of those into one spot and be able to give you an update on what your entire team is doing. So you don't have to go meeting by meeting, but you can just simply ask your personal assistant, Notion, and say, hey, what's my design team doing this week? What are the projects that they've been struggling on? What is the task that they've been moving the deadline on over and over and over again multiple times? And so now I know that there's a team that is struggling with whatever item that they've been pushing down the road and pushing away, and I can say, okay, let's talk about this. So it makes me a little bit more intelligent as well. And when it comes to knowledge base, I don't know if you guys have this, but if you have a team of more than 5 people, if you guys ever had the issue with finding one source of truth, maybe you have a document that says one thing, and then I have another document that I've edited, and everyone else has some version of it. But it could be 2 months old, it could be updated yesterday, but no one really has a single source of truth. That's another thing that Notion is really good at changing. So this is it live, and this is basically someone asking it, what's my web team working on? And Notion combs through everything in your entire company's knowledge base, your workspace, your Asana, everything. And it tells you this is what they're working on. And it links you directly to where their updates are located so that you can save time. It can replace an email. You no longer have to go set up a meeting with that manager. You know exactly what you're doing before you step into the room, and you know what you want to address with them. So this is another example of it trying to summarize a whole bunch of data. I've just fed it, and it's basically saying, here are the initiatives, here are the metrics, and here are the KPIs, and here's a link to where you can find that data. The next tool I want to talk about is heygen.ai. So we have a team of 300 people, and all of them are deployed across multiple clients. That means each client has their own set of rules, their policies are different, the type of customer they talk to is different. And so for each of these teams, A good chunk of them are focused on customer service. So they're actually speaking to our clients' customers. Our clients end up being fintechs and banks. And so the customers are folks either seeking loans, or they're seeking to repay that loan, or they're looking to apply for a new one. It could be a whole host of things. But with HeyGen, what we were able to do is actually take our team of 8 trainers that are deployed across all these teams spread between the US, Costa Rica, Panama, and India. And they were able to become a lot faster and a lot more engaging with their training tools. I won't lie, 3 years ago, we were essentially just doing PowerPoints, right? Memos, PowerPoints, training documents, and putting together a PowerPoint, sending it out to each team, and basically saying, we're gonna go through this PowerPoint today in our training, right? And then they were getting tested on it. What we realized is that if I have a training class and it's filled with as many people as there are in this room, I have to go as slow as the slowest performer in the room so that they can keep up. But with HeyGen, we didn't have to sit down and make those materials anymore, nor did we have to figure out a way to make it engaging. So I'm gonna click next. So what you see it doing here is going through different avatars that are available on HeyGen. And that person right there is an AI bot, and it's gonna speak to you as a real human would. That's someone writing a script. And you can also pick the language that that script is in. It can get translated. It can be changed into different accents. It can be cut short. You're essentially talking to it to be able to create a training video. The use case we use it for is training. We've seen some of our clients who've been exposed to this tool use it for other things as well. So with HeyGen, what we were able to do is essentially take these memos that were being sent across to different companies and different clients and different teams, and basically give it to a version of ChatGPT, this is powered by ChatGPT, and say, take this memo, create engaging content, make it more exciting, make it, give it some shock value. Those are some actual prompts that we've told it, is that, do something that's gonna get people to pay attention. And we were able to deploy it to all of our employees, have them listen to it on their own, and we realized that their testing and the scores basically improved by 23%. Which is insane, because if I were to go out and hire a trainer or hire a manager, and if the metric that I wanted them to move was, hey, I want you to get my employees to pay more attention, and I want you to get them to retain more information, and I also want you to get them to do better on these tests across all of these different areas of business that we have them deployed on, it would be very difficult for us to track. But with HeyGen, we don't have to create the script. We don't have to get someone to get in front of a camera and actually do the recording. We can eliminate all of that, and one person can replace an entire media crew and be able to create these training materials in a matter of hours. And if you remember from what I said earlier, I keep saying that these are tools that are being used by my team. They're not essentially replacing existing team members. Ultimately, the training manager in my company is still responsible for the training to occur. But what I'm essentially doing is saying, I'm okay with you cheating, right? Because they're exposed to all these headlines that say it's coming for your job and it's gonna replace you. And it makes the team members a lot more apprehensive to be able to adapt some of these tools that are available on the market. So what I said is, you're ultimately responsible for making this initiative happen. How you do it, if you can find a smarter way to do it, I'll back you up. And they've been able to explore and use a bunch of different tools that they've found, and they feel a lot more comfortable with it as well. So ChatGPT, I think we talked about ChatGPT a lot today, but what we've been using it for in our company internally is actually to replace our employee handbook. So previously, I don't even know if any of you guys have actually even touched an employee handbook, but we're so heavily regulated, unfortunately I need to. I hate it, but I need to. And we also have to get our managers and leadership team to actually get tested against some of these, like Bank Secrecy Act, AML, money laundering stuff, all fun stuff. Basically tells you how to do it, it's kind of fun. But ChatGPT replaced our handbook. And what that means is, instead of now them having to go into a PDF file to be able to review all this information, they can talk to ChatGPT. They can go ask it questions. It operates as a human would. Just like Ethan was saying, it's as smart as you feed it. So we've essentially fed it 300, 400, 500 pages of our employee handbook. And that information isn't proprietary by any means. It's essentially a summary of all the policies that we need them to be educated on. And so they're able to now go and talk to it. And so if someone is new on the team and is scared to ask you a question because they don't want to appear dumb, they don't want to be the one asking the question, they can go do that on ChatGPT. And they can just go into our custom GPT model that we've built that's specifically for employees, specifically for employee handbooks. And they can go in and ask, what do I do when there's a situation like this? What's our protocol for if something happens? How do we inform this client? We have 16 clients. Which client prefers getting an email memo versus who do I need to schedule a call with? Right? Those are all things that are contextual, and you really only get to teach them if a situation arises. But with ChatGPT, we can store it all in one place. So this is slightly different to being able to feed it information on your voice and tone. This is how you create a cheap GPT model. So no code required. You can go do this now. And you go into ChatGPT, and again, you do need the paid version for this. So you go into create. And it talks to you like a human. So it tells you, what do you want to create today? Right? So it could be any number of things. It could be for your marketing team. It could talk about your brand values. It could talk about your design values. It could talk about what is the brand strategy guide for something. It could be for your social media team. It could be for your HR team about how do we actually go about making a new hire, right? What's our policy on hiring internally? Or how do I actually go and find the tools to be able to do whatever it is you need to do in the company? So it asks you what you want to make, and you can tell it something fun, like this is a Utah hiking guide, right? Maybe you have a travel company and you're trying to create something that's easy for your clients to use. So you're giving it instructions and you're saying, this is something that someone's gonna use to be able to plan their hike, right? And you can also give it details like, I want you to be fun, I want you to be exciting, I want you to make everything sound like an adventure. Or you can say, I want you to talk about hiking like a philosophy. And it'll adapt its tone and voice to be able to do that. But all you have to do to make that happen is actually just communicate. So next time you're looking at, I wish I had a subject matter expert on the team that can do this, or they can do that. You can essentially create a GPT model to be that. But the cool thing about this is it's never gonna forget anything you tell it. It can always operate in the voice that you want it to. So if you have a lot of customers that have questions and frequently asked questions about orders, or if they have questions about what services you provide, this is a great way to provide that for your customers and be able to control the experience a lot better. So I don't know if you guys have touched on this before, but on ChatGPT, instead of using the generic version, there are custom ones. Let me move out of your way. There are custom GPT models other people have built. So for example, if you need an AI video maker, someone specifically trained it to do that. If you need it to be able to do research, it's been trained on 200 million resources. So there's really no reason for me to go create a resource-based or article-based or research-based GPT. One already exists, I can use it, I can deploy it to my team, and whatever you want it, I guarantee you it's already out there, especially code debugging and So best practices on AI. This is actually taken from a slide that I use for my employees. The first thing is it's not meant to replace you, it's meant to augment your productivity, it's meant to help us be a lot more productive. So make sure that your team understands that they're still ultimately responsible for the output. The second thing is confidentiality. Everything you put on any AI tool will and can be used to make it better, which means the next time my competitor goes on there and is searching for something, that AI model is learning from what I've fed it, so I want to be careful about what I want to expose it to. So whenever your employees are using it, whether you know about it or not, make sure you have a talk with your employees to say, hey, I know all of us are using ChatGPT, but you know that document that was completely confidential? Don't put that on ChatGPT, or any AI tool for that matter. The third thing is accuracy. It can and will make mistakes. You can actually go on ChatGPT and convince it that you were one of the presidents of the United States. It can be done. You can just go on, you can ask it for a list, and you can say, no, you're wrong, I was also president. And then the next time you ask it that question, it'll correct itself because it's constantly increasing its memory. And so it's very easy to fool. So you want to be careful about taking everything ChatGPT gives you at face value, which is why what Ethan said comes into play here, where you want to make sure you're giving it your details. You want to make sure you're giving it your tone, your facts. If it's working on a project, you want to make sure it understands the framework with which it's operating on. And the last thing I want to say is with these tools, in our company, how I got my team to adapt it is actually go team by team. So we started looking at the time killers, the ones that are, the tasks that are taking hours a week for each individual person. And we decided to say, let's start using ChatGPT or AI or any of these other tools for that. And let's free up your time to be able to mentor other people. We want to focus on coaching. We want to focus on mentoring so they understand how their time is going to be replaced. And in addition to that, it also allowed us to go in bite-sized pieces to see if a tool is actually a good use for our team and to be able to say, okay, so this tool does work really well in this experiment that we run in this bubble of 10 people. Now we're able to use it for all 300 people. And usually the adaptability goes team by team by team, and then it kind of trickles down. So when you guys are looking at some of these tools or maybe some other ones that were recommended today, what I would say is take aside a group of some of the people that you trust within your team and say, let's talk through this. Let's talk about putting together a manual for how to use this. And let's see if the team can actually be more productive as a result and go from there. I have a team of 300 people. All of them use some form of AI on a day-to-day basis. And I will say we should have been at close to 350, 360 people. So for me, the value add has been that additional 50 or 60 people's worth of salaries, OpEx, anything that you can probably imagine, or even the burden of training them and so on. But it's been super helpful to me. I hope you guys try some of these tools out, and hopefully I'll hear from it.